Alright. Hello everybody and welcome back to our Project Nightlight developer commentary and playthrough, where Fringe Realities. I'm Matt.
I'm Alex.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Daniel.
So welcome to episode 2, the Bullpen.
Yes, welcome.
Okay. So this is the first major level of the game, after the sort of introductory tutorial section in the lobby, and the more exploration-based and recurring in-between area of the central hub, both of which we saw in episode 1. The Bullpen was the first bigger environment that we worked on for the game, and taught us some really big lessons, particularly when it came to optimization, and what the pain points would be sort of moving forward through the rest of development, which we can talk about today, along with a bunch of other fun tidbits too. So, yeah, who wants to start us off?
I can talk a little bit about like the optimization stuff that we did.
Mm-hmm.
I think originally, the original design was going to be a whole bunch of desks just in this like open area, but we ended up finding out that that was too intensive. Like because the drawers for the desks and things like that were all openable, there was like way too many physics objects, and it just like completely destroyed any sort of frame rate that we were going to get. So I think this was the second design. I don't think we went through too many different designs. I think it was basically we tried that didn't work, and then we were like, okay, we need to put like dividers and cut it up a little bit.
Yeah, I remember that you had to make a physics slot system for all of the drawers, so that they would all turn on and off depending on how close you were to them.
Which then got ditched anyway towards the end, I think, because that was taking up more effort turning it all on and off than it was just like having them all inactive.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we ended up swapping over the desks to ones that I don't believe they have drawers, or we reduced how many had drawers. Just so then that way it's all static, solid colliders, and like cuts down massively on the physics requirements and things like that for this area. I also just remembered the lovely doors.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see the difference here with the handles.
Yeah. So yeah, there's all of these ones which are like permanently locked, so they have all of the like kind of turny handles, but then all the ones that you can actually go into are the like sliding doors.
Which you'll notice if you take note of the door there, it'll change like into an actual slidey door afterwards, which is really funny. I love the technical term that we're using is slidey door.
Well,
it is a sliding door.
A sliding door.
Yeah, but we're not saying sliding, we're saying slidey. Or at least I am.
Yeah.
Notes for people that don't listen to actual audio.
I'm trying to remember if those were textured. I think
they were.
I think for this we were texturing all of the writing in, which is a terrible thing to do, and you shouldn't do it because
we were limited at the time. We didn't have access to the decals.
Yeah.
That's very true.
I mean, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that we've spoken about since. Like we've kind of all come to the conclusion that if we were to do this again, we would like completely redesign this area for optimization and just having it run better.
If we did do this again, it'd be a ground up rebuild. What do you mean?
I mean, yeah, that as well. But
yeah, splitting it up into all different scenes instead of having everything in the one scene is more optimal than what we decided to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's being our first game. We just weren't sort of taught how to optimize properly, so that's kind of how it ended up being like it is.
Yeah, a lot of that was trial by fire. Yeah. Luckily, since with the next project, we've kind of known about that, so we've spent a ton of time trying to find and make systems that'll help with that sort of stuff.
Was your bolt cutters?
Good old bolt cutters.
Coins with all the detail.
Do you want to run through the making of those?
Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit. Yeah, it was like one of the more unique mechanics that we wanted in the game. Sort of a nod to, Resident Evil and those older style games that we were kind of taking inspiration from, because there just always seems to be bolt cutters in those games for cutting off locks and other things like that. But yeah, like the way the bolt cutters work, it's really weird because basically there's like two handles you grab. That's just like two kind of colliders, or like two kind of physics objects, and it basically just looks at like the distance you have between those two objects to like animate the bolt cutters opening and closing. And then, depending upon how open or closed they are, it determines whether it should like be cutting or not cutting. Yeah, it's a very very weird system. I mean, it ends up working in the end.
Yeah, it actually
think-
works pretty well.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like some of
I
the
think I remember making like 2 or 3 different versions with like different lengths to the handles, and
yeah. Well, that was I think
didn't
one
we
of...
just sort of get the animation? First iteration might be a bit too short or something, if I remember correctly, and it was hard to get the cutting motion going.
I think we kind of went back and forth with some of those, because I think the very first iteration was like too big.
Yeah, it was really big.
Like, I think the first iteration was like an actual like big bolt cutters, but then like through mucking around with it and stuff like that, we ended up deciding like, oh no, we need these to be like small, more portable handheld sort of. Well, they're all handheld, but like we needed smaller ones basically.
Yeah. Back in that power room with all the switches at the back, was that ever going to be a puzzle?
I think at one stage it was. You were meant to like turn on and off certain power, but then it like we decided to cut it.
That's just what it looked like, and I couldn't remember.
Like at some stage, I do remember there being something power related, like in there.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember. I think when it was getting made, we were like umming and ahhing about whether we did want to allow people to muck around with it, but we kind of decided like by the end of it, like probably not. There's like 50, 60 like switches on this thing. If they're all like physics objects, that's just gonna like tank performance.
Yeah. I fucking where the grip buttons are. Like I like positioned my hand underneath and like squeezed by accident and just dropped the ammo out the gun.
Oh yeah.
Also, yeah, the like inconsistent like ammunition.
Yeah.
Most of these gave me 4 shots, and then the first time I come up against an enemy, I get 6, and I don't understand why.
I think it's
Which
supposed
one
to
I
be
think it's
8
meant to be 7.
or 7.
I think it's meant to be 7. That's the number I had in my head.
I didn't really count. I don't think I had it consistent.
That was 5. But yeah, it just like randomly like gives you like yes and no.
Oh, I'm glad you actually moved the
Yeah,
the
yeah. I
target.
figured that like Alex spent a hot minute on that, so why not?
Yeah. Well, we wanted like a fully interactable firing range for people to have a muck around with.
Ah, yes, my impeccable aim. I swear to God, like I had it fully lined up with my eye so that like I could see what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, your closed eye looks like.
No, it wasn't. That's the crazy thing. That one had like 3 shots in it. Oh no, I pulled it out by accident.
Why would that be a thing?
It's just a bug.
Like I'm lining it up with like my left eye there. I don't have like 6 or 7.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think this one has 4.
I do remember one small feature we did do with the actual magazines. I think there's only 2 real bullets in there, and basically depending upon how many are left, it will actually like turn off certain ones. So if you pull out the mag before you get to the last round, there will be like 1 round left in the mag. Given there's no like slider or anything like that, so it's just literally just a bullet floating there.
heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Every time I read something else. Wiggly gun, wiggly gun.
Wiggly gun that snaps back into place eventually.
Yeah. Again, that was just another fucking random.
Another random bug that
Yeah.
showed up.
It has like no explanation.
Check the quartermaster's desk for more ammunition.
Yeah.
There's bound to be some there.
Oh, spooky
There's the first enemy.
ghost.
Yep.
What the hell is that?
Grab points. Now the guy said like go check the quartermaster's desk for ammo, so I assumed that I had put ammunition in here in the quartermaster's office. So I like actually fully came back through here and started looking for stuff. And then I realized that like when you said that you meant the desk outside where like there was no ammunition or anything like previously, but there is now, and there's like the health stuff there as well.
Yeah.
So like, you know, early line revisions and stuff changing after a while.
I mean, plus also it's just kind of a little bit open to interpretation and stuff. Like we don't have giant labels on everything, so we say somewhere and people might not quite understand it.
And to be fair, we said the quartermaster's desk, and that's the quartermaster's office. So like, also yeah, the Game Plus lights. I completely forgot that I took a photo of the actual lights in like the office.
Yeah.
And used it with the texture. These are little health syringes. Here's my excuse as to why they make sense.
I do actually want to bring up something that apparently not as many people know about. The green symbol we have there for the health, you have to use green or some other color because you can't actually use red crosses because of I think it was literally the Geneva Convention or something like that. Yeah, like the Red Cross and stuff like that. Like that's all like trademarked and restricted and things like that. So you can't actually have that in a video game or art or anything. Like they don't.
I looked up.
They don't like come after you or anything, or like most of the time they won't. But like you can actually get in legal issues because of that. It was luckily something we'd learned before this, so we like knew about it. But yeah.
Yeah.
Now our office space has turned into a maze.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scared the shit out of me. You saw me point my finger there.
Yeah, we went through different iterations of the enemy's shader to try and get it right, but it's essentially just heat. Really?
Yeah.
Well, when it's on ultra settings, yeah.
Correct, yeah.
When it's not, it looks like crap. Ooh, frame drop. Interesting.
And also we had issues with the enemies not actually disappearing when they died. The bodies would remain on the ground, sometimes actually inhibiting progress in certain levels.
Yeah, I think we had that happen a couple of times. I do remember the original designs for them were, I think like the original idea was they were going to be more like just spheres of like bending light or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the whole idea
More
was
like,
you're going to use the nightlight
Stalker.
on them, and then they would like reveal themselves to be like skeletons.
Yeah.
But then like just through revision and redesigning them and stuff like that, we kind of ended up on these like semi-invisible, transparent like mummies.
Well, yeah, like once they get far enough away, they do actually disappear from your view, which I'd forgotten about until the cafeteria later.
Yeah, they actually get more invisible the further away they are from you. Actually, that does remind me of like one of the mechanics we did want to put in here, but we just didn't get finished. The original idea for helping the player detect enemies was that we were going to have a radio, like very Silent Hill, we were gonna have a radio that basically got louder the closer enemies got to you, but we didn't have time to like fully flesh it out. Like towards the end of development, we were just having issues with it not increasing in volume and things like that. So like it would just basically just turn on, and you would just be like, okay, there's an enemy within like 20 meters of me, and it wasn't actually as helpful. Plus, luckily with the visuals and stuff like that, you can decently easily see them. So like we didn't actually need that system.
The Sprinter came out so good, Daniel.
Yeah,
Yeah, you did a wicked job.
thank you. It almost looks a bit big in person, but they were.
Mm.
It just was the size of them back then, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, they were huge back in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, back in the 80s and stuff like that, it was basically an entire room dedicated to just the machine.
It's just one person's job, just to copy stuff all day.
Yeah. Yeah. And now we have small little units that are sitting on people's desks.
Now we don't even photocopy shit.
Nice work.
Yeah, true. Now everything's digital.
Now would be a great time to talk about the great
Nice
work
job.
mishap. When you completed the puzzle, there was an audio glitch which would just make him repeat, "Nice work, nice work, nice work," just over and over again, which was actually quite funny.
I still don't understand how you managed to like, because you were playtesting it, and I remember you played through like this entire level, got to the end, and you're like, oh yeah, by the way, like 10 minutes in, this voice line broke and was playing repeatedly, and we were all just like, and you kept playing.
Yeah, I had to test the game.
Yeah, sure.
Here's me finding documents that I forgot not even written.
Is that good old Janice?
Janice. Yep, that's Janice. That's a psychiatric evaluation, declaring her crazy. Because she started seeing things in the office.
Ah. You and your weird, like, vendetta against Janice?
Yeah, man. She knows what she did.
Do we know where Janice came from?
The name?
Just like the character and the backstory.
Yeah, that. Also, this shocked the shit out of me. I forgot that I'd made one for myself.
I didn't even know you did that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it scared the crap out of me because I'm like, just, like, glanced over and it's just like my name at the top of the fucking thing.
Yeah, we didn't know how to tell you.
Yeah.
We actually got you psychologically evaluated.
Yeah.
We decided to put it in the game. We figured you'd see it eventually.
Well, here we are. 2 years later. Realizing I should have been on the 7th subfloor of some department building in somewhere America.
Yeah.
Anyway, the name Janice comes about, like, it was literally, I nicked it from Friends, like Chandler's ex. I was just like, what's an annoying character that I can just, like, take inspiration from? And I think my sister just happened to be, like, watching it, and I was like, you know what, that works. So Janice was, like, just yoinked. And here we are.
I do like this, like, environment. It's
Yeah, like, all of our environments in this look like fucking solid.
no, as a lot of people have said, the graphics and environments and models are definitely the highlight of this. Like and the mood and stuff like that.
Yeah. I do remember that we had certain issues with the folders sitting in the backpack as well properly. Like sometimes they would just their orientation would be sticking out too far or just flipped upside down or like just at different angles.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember exactly why that happened. I know we've run into a couple of different issues with like the inventory system. Like originally we did want it to be a lot more Resident Evil, where you had like shapes for items and stuff, and you were gonna like snap it into a grid. But like making that system just was kind of too difficult, so we just kind of had to decide. We just decided like, oh yeah, we'll have the 9 inventory slots, and people will just be able to put things in there when they need. Which ends up being more than plenty. I think like there are resources kind of everywhere if you're looking for them, so
Yeah.
you don't need to worry too much about resource management and things like that as long as you're exploring.
Jack's office.
I think I gave everyone their own office as well.
Yeah. Well, no, you gave me and Alex and Daniel desks, I believe.
And Johnson.
No, Johnson gets
Johnson
an office.
was back there. Oh, you mean out in the other section?
You and Johnson are the only one with offices. Yeah, like me, Daniel and Alex, I think, are over in the desks. I think I found us all.
I don't remember seeing my name.
You're there. I did find it.
I wasn't looking hard enough.
It is also bloody hard to see in there without your torch on. So.
Yeah, it does come across differently in the recording.
It does, eh?
Yeah, for everyone watching, this is take 2 of this recording. Because Mark went through and played it, but he didn't have the torch on, and in the headset...
Apparently it was way too dark.
Yeah, in the headset it comes out as brighter. That's kind of also been an issue that we've had with just recording like trailer footage and things like that in general. Like as Matt was kind of pointing out with the gun, like where you see versus where the camera sees is different, and then there seems to be some like weird issues with like what you see in headset versus what the screen is recording. They're like slightly different levels for things, so the screen will be like brighter or darker than the headset, and then you get all these weird issues.
That's just a VR thing, right?
Yeah, it's just to do with like how bright the headset, how bright the like screens are in the headset and things like that. I'm trying to remember. I think we went through a few iterations of this puzzle as well.
Yep, because like I think the biggest thing was just like, why is it just all of a sudden that this door opens? There's Daniel's desk.
There you go. Yeah, it did take me a while to finish this puzzle. One of those folders I think I had disappeared on me. Did a few laps and I think I dropped on the floor somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to do.
And it is kind of one of the troubles of VR is like working out player intent for things. Because like you can't always just have things like automatically return after a certain time and things like that, because the player might be using it.
It's this folders unlocking a door. That's kind of Silent Hilly, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that was the thing. It was like, hey, we need a reason for you to do a puzzle in here to get through upstairs, and we settled on like you can't get through unless you do all 4 things. So on that blue sign back there, I actually wrote like it's a pressurized locking system. So, like unless all 4,
Careful.
what do you call it?
Things are there.
Like, and all 4 documents are in the actual tray, it won't do anything.
Still had to be in the correct order, though.
Yeah. Well, not initially. That was something we found out during QA. Drafting the condolence letters and reviewing the quarterly incident numbers.
I think we had quite a while, didn't we, have some of those clipboards that just had sample text written on it, because we just...
You did, yeah.
Yeah, we'd forgotten.
That was one of the last things I think I did when I went back through with my set dressing stuff, was like going through and making sure they didn't say fucking sample text.
Yeah.
Hopefully Matt spies it in this room, but there's a briefcase in
Yeah. I did. I made sure. I
Um,
made sure you saw it in yours as well.
that we actually shouted out Resident Evil with its little umbrella as a cocktail umbrella.
Yeah, it's coming up after I check out this office, I think. I definitely made sure to look at it before I left.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember all the references we did because we put references into like some of the games that inspired it. So like Resident Evil. Oh, there was Silent Hill. I think there's a reference to that in the next level.
Yep.
Um,
The Quiet Mountains.
yeah, the Quiet Mountains. Did we do one for Control? I can't quite remember.
Not
We should have.
explicitly.
Yeah.
Just the whole game.
Though, I mean, it gives off that vibe. Yeah, okay, yeah. So there's the umbrella with the and the briefcase. Everything is stacked in there nice and neatly in its spot.
Except for the one thing you can pick up.
Yeah.
Correct. The ammunition.
I actually saw a car with like the umbrella core sticker on the side of it not too long ago. Went out for dinner and it was just like a big truck and just like was plastered on the side and I'm like, oh, that's mildly concerning.
That structure is just an office. It was originally made to be
Mysteriously, a whole bunch of people like disappeared that day.
Yeah.
Oh, a fun little Easter egg. There are mannequins everywhere in
Yeah.
those cubicles down there. You can't see them when you're going through the maze because you can't see at the top. But yeah, I put them everywhere because it would be a little bit creepy.
I just remember that there's like 3 having like a Mexican standoff or something somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere there is. There's also a couple of people having fun in an office together.
I specifically looked in the office because I remembered which office it was. You can't get a good view of it. You can see like a leg.
Yeah.
And this is me remembering, hey, that whole thing about like the snow globe. Make sure I grab that.
Yeah, the snow globe is for the alternate ending.
That's right. So this is... Fuck it, we'll go into a bit of detail. This is one of the objects of attachment. We went through this a little bit last time. But this is for Simon, who is the first test subject that you will encounter shortly. Who was sort of put through the previous trial of Project Shadewalker, which is what sort of brought all of these little creatures into the world, and then after his connection with his OOA, or his little snow globe, was weakened, he... what do you call it? Like, his, like, Shadewalker creature became unstable, and as a result, things get a little bit crazy. And it's what sets the environment up to become like an altered area, effectively. Here's me having some technical issues. I pressed the pause button and I'm trying to see where the hell it came off. It's like through the wall. Yeah.
That pause menu I hate so much.
There it is,
Oh.
on that desk.
When he said there it is, it actually scared the shit out of me. Like, I kind of jumped. I went, fuck, like, what am I looking for again? Answer, of course, being the artifact, which is what you're tasked with putting back together. Kind of looking at all the extra crap I chucked around in this room. Because Mark already, like, you decorated it a bit with, like, certain levels of
not
paper and
enough.
boxes, and I just went overboard. Because this is meant to be, like, Simon's closest area of effect in terms of what, like, or like where he was at in terms of his mental stress, which is what broke him and caused him to come to the department for testing.
There's also another thing
Yeah.
that we can talk about is the safe lock.
Mm.
We had to opt for the keypad over a tumbler lock because
the tumbler lock just didn't
mechanically
work.
it did not function correctly.
There he is.
Yeah, I think... What was it? Yeah, originally it was going to work like a traditional like tumbler lock where you had to like rotate it a couple times, go to a number, rotate it back. But then like we just kind of decided like we don't think people are going to understand like how that's going to work and things like that.
Yeah,
No.
it was very difficult to do in VR.
Yeah. Well, it was also like teaching the player and stuff like that, like what numbers to go to. We were just kind of like, hey,
Yeah.
it's probably going to be too much like effort to try and teach people to do it.
And you only really ever do it once,
Yeah.
as
I know.
opposed to using the keypad where you use it several times throughout the game.
Yeah.
I think it took me a while to find the number to the keypad when I played it. When I was
Really?
playing,
For the safe, yeah.
Yeah, it's
well,
on the
yeah,
poster
the one
right there.
that's the one that's in your face, yeah.
Mm.
But I don't know. I guess I didn't look at the poster for a number. And to be honest, I think half the issue was I think this defaulted to like a low quality for me, so I couldn't actually
Yeah.
even read it, even if I wanted.
That was probably one of the ones we should have checked.
Mm.
I'm just
What have you got there?
just waiting for the the monster
Yeah.
to rock up.
Don't worry, I was waiting too. I was stressed.
So yeah, why is the fancy weapon in the cafeteria again, and not
Because.
like the lab?
Because why not?
The answer is because
Just because.
we.
Well, it's the tutorial is technically in that office room behind where the like different iterations of like the barrel were sitting on the desks emitting that light, so it would kind of teach the player that
Yeah.
those were the things that like stunned the enemy, and then later on when you come through here you would pick up this gun and it would do the same effect, and you know you'd see that they're stunned and then you can kill them.
Now, lovely, creepy mummies that
Mm-hmm.
Daniel had to look up actual real-world mummies to make.
Yeah.
I wrote on these, yes.
I miss the crispy charred boys.
Yeah.
Just a different variation of them.
Did any of them get in?
No.
No, I think
No.
you ended up making different ones, but by the end of it, we had like that much that we were sort of doing, and that the designers had to do.
I
Yeah.
said crispy char, they just meant there was a texture for this guy who looked burnt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you look? Are you gonna look at the fruit closely at all?
I not in this playthrough, but I can because they're in all of the apartments, so I can like.
No, sorry. I know it's my fault, but it's funny how big they are.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of
mean,
oversized
it's
them.
one of those things. There was the Discord message.
I am not gonna lie, I was like, wait a minute.
I looked at my Discord too.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, like it messed me up reviewing the footage as well. I was like, hang on a sec. But that's the office down there with the two people. Well, two
Yeah,
mannequins,
it's against the
rather.
wall. You
see,
can
like, you can
barely see into it.
Yeah.
There's in my first recording, I actually walked into the boardroom behind there and actually properly like looked at the dummies so you could get a better look at them.
Yeah.
They're very creepy.
They are.
You could actually kill Simon if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Once you
Which
got the
I
stun
opened
gun.
it up and yeah. He doesn't keep chasing you after this though, which I thought was interesting. Like once the effect stops, he just kind of.
No, he just stays in a permanently
Sits
stunned
there.
state.
But yeah, you can like now sort of shoot him and. Yeah.
You get nothing if you do it though. It's just a thing that you can do.
Like that was one of the big things as well. Was like even with the grunts, like you don't have to kill them. You can avoid them.
Oh yeah, you could stealth this whole entire section if you wanted to.
Yeah. Which yeah, it was like one of the bigger things like when we were playing and designing it, like for the dual ending sort of thing. It was like, yeah, you know, we can have a good and a bad sort of thing where it's like, hey, you didn't kill anyone, good for you. But it's also a thing of like how you meant to know, like for not killing anyone. So it's more of a thing of like get the OOAs and
Yeah, the
Yeah.
OOA is the more important collectible here.
And I do also That was actually a lot smoother than I remember.
Right? Yeah.
But basically, what ends up happening here is you actually get teleported.
hang on. Don't feel the surprise before it happens, man. Come on.
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, mechanically, you get teleported to
Boo.
a different office.
Yeah. It's like a duplicate office, like 5 meters to the left of where the other one is.
Yeah.
Just floating in space.
Yeah, we needed a way to transition back to the other area.
Because originally, like, the very first idea that we had for this is we wanted it to be like a seamless experience where you just like walk through and go from one level to the next. So that's why we had this like repeating part where it was like, oh yeah, you just keep coming out and you just keep coming out at like the hub in that specific area.
I've never seen this happen before. These things, what are they? Are you alright? It's so hard to follow them around on the camera.
But yeah, each time you come out here, it's a different version. Things have changed. Like there's the sign there where it's all scratched off now.
Yeah. Also, like, all of the lights are off on the left side, where R&D was as well. And the lights in observation are switched on.
Yeah.
Never thought that anything bad could happen working for this place. How wrong was I?
Oh yeah, you can hear the whispering.
Yeah, it's faintly there.
Can you?
Yeah, I can.
I'm struggling to hear it. Like, it was so loud when I was, like, standing next to it.
Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember exactly how it works. Whether it's a 2D or a 3D source. I don't know if it gets louder when you get closer. But yeah, now the observation wing is open, and that's where you head through next.
Yeah. That is for next time. Because this marks the end of episode 2. Pretty much. I think I just... Yeah.
Just stand around for a while.
No, I think I just, like, exit game. Like, yeah, right there. There we go. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you all for tuning in for episode 2. We're hopefully going to be recording episode 3 shortly and get that to you in the next couple weeks. And that'll be delving into the apartments, which is the next layer deep in the sort of liminal realm as it sort of expands across the department. So yeah, tune in next time and we'll see you there. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.